Hi, this is our fifth meeting of the class Heaven and Hell. Let's get back to some of the specific questions that we're talking about. Will there be sunsets and day-night cycles in the future heaven? While God will be our light source, it doesn't say that there won't be any more sun or moon. It only says that we won't need them for our light source. Revelation chapter 21, verse 23 says this: "The city does not need the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives its light, and the Lamb is its lamp." And then if we go to Isaiah chapter 60, verses 19 through 21, it says this: "The sun will no more be your light by day, nor will the brightness of the moon shine on you, for the Lord will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory. Your sun will not set again, and your moon will wane no more. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of sorrow will end. Then all your people will be righteous, and they will possess the land forever. They are the shoot I have planted, the work of my hands, for the display of my splendor." So remember, darkness isn't evil. God created it before the fall. If you go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 5, it says this: "God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day." And remember, a little while later, after he created all this, he said he looked at it, at his creation, and said it's good. So night is not evil. Night can be associated with a lot of positive things, like time with family after a hard day's work, which we'll enjoy, and we'll get to that in a little while. It can also give us an opportunity to talk, to rest, to have dinner with loved ones, etc. So, and for us to see the stars, it'll have to be nighttime. Now, this next part is speculation, but there may be diffused light or twilight, maybe not total darkness. Or maybe the light of God will be emanating from us. But darkness in whatever amount will not be a fearful thing like it is now. Okay, what about lakes and rivers and seas and oceans and things like that? Well, in Revelation chapter 21, verse 1, it says this: "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea." Okay. Maybe seas were the result of the flood. We're not sure. But the core meaning here is that there won't be any more cold, treacherous waters that separate nations, destroy ships, no more poisoned salt waters, or no more drowning of our loved ones. Remember, to ancient peoples, the sea was frightful and fearsome. It was a watery grave. But there will be rivers. In Revelation chapter 22, verse 1 and 2, it said that an angel showed me the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of the street of the city. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. Okay, so there will be rivers. Rivers have to flow somewhere, so we might expect lakes. Now take a look at Isaiah chapter 60, verses 5 and 6. And it says this: "Then you will look and be radiant. Your heart will throb and swell with joy. The wealth of the seas will be brought to you. To you the riches of the nation will come. Herds of camels will cover your land, young camels of Midian and Ephah, and all from Sheba will come, bearing gold and incense and proclaiming the praise of the Lord. All Kedar's flocks will be gathered to you. The nations of Naboth will serve you. They will be accepted as offering on my altar, for I will adorn my glorious temple. Who are these that fly among like clouds, like doves to their nest? Surely the islands look to me. In the lead are the ships of Tarshish, bringing your children from afar with their silver and gold, to the honor of the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he has endowed you with splendor. So somehow, the no more seas of Revelation chapter 21 and the wealth of the seas from Isaiah 60 are going to be compatible. We're not sure how. Maybe the new earth will have large bodies of water. Maybe we'll dive without need of an oxygen tank or a mask or for fear of drowning. Maybe we'll be able to play with God's underwater creatures. Maybe the salt water will all become fresh water and won't be poisoned anymore. If you take a look at Ezekiel chapter 47, verses 7 through 9, it says this: When I arrived there, I saw a great number of trees on each side of the river. He said to me, this water flows toward the eastern region and goes down into the Arabah, where it enters the Dead Sea. When it empties into the sea, the salty water there becomes fresh. Swarms of living creatures will live wherever the river flows. There will be large numbers of fish because this water flows there and makes the salt water fresh. So where the river flows, everything will live. Oh, that's interesting. Are there going to be seasons and varying weather? Well, Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 26 and 27 says this: I will make them and the places surrounding my hill a blessing. I will send down showers in season. There will be showers of blessing. The trees will yield their fruit, and the ground will yield its crops. The people will be secure in their land. They will know that I am the Lord when I break the bars of the yoke and rescue them from the hands of those who enslaved them. So that says there's going to be showers in season to help the ground yield its crops. Is rain a bad thing? No, it's a good thing. Will rain turn to snow at higher elevations? Why not? Just as resurrection people will still have eyes, ears, etc., so the new earth is probably still going to have rain, snow, wind. It's something we won't have to be fearful about. It won't cause death and destruction anymore. Lightning, thunder, rain, and snow will all declare God's glory. If you take a look at Job chapter 37, verses 3 to 6, it says this: He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. God's voice thunders in marvelous ways. He does great things beyond our understanding. He says to the snow, fall on the earth, and to the rain, be a mighty downpour. So there's no reason to think that these things won't exist on the new earth. They just won't cause death and destruction. It's something we won't have to be fearful about. Nature is going to be a source of joy and pleasure, not fear and death. Will we miss anything from the old earth? Well, that's interesting. While we still will have memory from the old earth, and remember, our memories are going to be redeemed, we won't miss anything. Gone will be the curse, sin, death, and suffering. The new earth is going to be so vastly superior to the old earth that we won't miss anything. Our memories will be used to remember the times when we were obedient to God, and we'll see how that produced good things, even if we didn't see it on the old earth. God's going to fashion us to be precisely what He will give us. So what He gives us will be exactly what we want. Our needs will become our wants. Another question you might have is, will we look like ourselves? Well, on the Mount of Transfiguration, the three disciples recognized Moses and Elijah. In Matthew chapter 17, verses 2 through 4, it says, "There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, 'Lord, it's good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah.'" So they recognized him. We'll also recognize Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at the great wedding feast that we're going to have when we go to heaven. That's in Matthew chapter 8, verse 11. What then will our bodies look like? Take the most beautiful person you've ever seen, and remember, their beauty is still under the curse. It's a shadow of the beauty that once characterized humanity in Adam and Eve. My guess is that we'll have a natural physical beauty that will emanate from our spiritual self. I'm not sure, we'll see. But racial and gender features are going to continue. If you take a look at Revelation chapter 5, verse 9, it says this, "And they sang a new song, saying, 'You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased for God persons from every tribe and language and people and nation.'" So there's going to be people from all sorts of places. People are human, male and female. Was Jesus genderless after his resurrection? Of course not. Nobody mistook him for a female or for an androgynous person. Gender's a God-created aspect of humanity. So, yes, we're still going to have our racial and our gender characteristics. But remember, our bodies are going to be redeemed. While we'll still be recognized as ourself, all of our imperfections are going to be gone. That means no more pimples, no more scars, no more bad eyes, no more bad hearing, no more allergies. We still may have fat cells, but they'll be in healthy proportion to the rest of our body. Boy, isn't that going to be great? Wow, I can't wait for that. I wear hearing aids, and I have allergies, and I wear glasses, and yeah, I really can't wait for that. Will we maintain our own identities? Well, in John chapter 20, in several spots in there, Jesus deals with Mary, Thomas, and Peter in very personal ways. What he is he's drawing on his previous knowledge of them. You know, John said in John chapter 21, verses 4 to 7, several times, "It's the Lord," meaning, hey, that's the same Jesus that we had known. So, yeah, I think we're going to maintain our own identities. One thing is, you can banish all fear of being absorbed into this all is one belief of Buddhism and Hinduism, or you don't have to worry about us being reincarnated into something else. The self which we were endowed with by God, that's his gift to us. We're the same person that he died for. That self will endure. Death is not going to destroy us. If you take a look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 53 through 58, it says this, "For the perishable must clothe itself with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. When the perishable becomes clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal becomes clothed with immortality, then the saying that is written will come true, death is swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory through Jesus Christ our Lord. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Will our names be the same? Probably. The names of the 12 tribes of Israel and the patriarchs and the 12 apostles are going to be the same. If you take a look at Revelation chapter 21, verses 12 through 14, it says this, and it's talking about the New Jerusalem. It said it had a great high wall with 12 gates, and with 12 angels at the gates. On the gates were written the names of the tribes of Israel. There were 3 gates on the east, 3 on the north, 3 on the south, and 3 on the west. The wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. God also allowed Adam to name the animals in Genesis chapter 2, verses 19 and 20, and whatever he named them, that was what they were called. Our names are also written in the Lamb's Book of Life. In Revelation chapter 21, verse 27, it says, nothing impure will ever enter it, that's the New Jerusalem, nor will anyone who does what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Now, we will receive new names in heaven. If you take a look at Revelation chapter 3, verse 12, it says this, to the one who is victorious, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Never again will they leave it. I will write on them the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven from my God, and I will also write on them my new name. So I think that's one way of saying that we are going to have new names. That won't invalidate our old names, and it also talks in Isaiah chapter 62 verse 2 and chapter 65 verse 15 about us getting new names, but it doesn't invalidate our old names. Maybe we'll be called Mary the Faithful One, or Jim the Preserver. Who knows? C.S. Lewis said this, until you have given up yourself to God, you will not have a real self. Sameness is found in all the people that haven't surrendered to him. How monotonously alike are all the great tyrants and conquerors have been. How gloriously different are the saints. Nothing in you that has not died will ever be resurrected from the dead. Look at yourself, and you'll only find hatred, pride, despair, rage, and decay. Look for Christ, and you will find him, and everything else good will be thrown in. One other thing, there is a belief out, and this has come through many movies and things like that. Will we be angels? Even though I love the movie It's a Wonderful Life, this guy named Clarence, who had died some time before, he was becoming an angel. No, we're not going to become angels. Us becoming angels is actually a Mormon belief, and it's also an evolutionary belief. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 2 and 3 says we will rule over angels. Exactly how, we don't know, but we will. Remember, according to Colossians, angels are created by God. They do his bidding, and they serve us on earth. If you go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, I'm sorry, Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 14. It says this: "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" Sometimes we've entertained angels and we haven't been aware of it. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2 says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." So no, we're not going to be angels. Angels are angels. Humans are humans. They're not the same. They never will be. Like I say, humans becoming angels has its root in evolutionary theory and also in Mormonism. Will we have emotions? Well, our emotions are from God. He created us with them. But they've been marred by sin. Revelation chapter 21, verse 4 says, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." That doesn't say we won't have emotions or tears, but the emotions or tears won't be due to sorrow. We may have emotions or tears due to joy. Can you imagine meeting Jesus for the first time in heaven? What about seeing some of your loved ones for the first time in heaven? Wow, I can't imagine not having any emotion or tears of joy in that case. Will we have desires in heaven? Yeah, I think we will, but they won't be unholy or sinful desires. We won't have to battle them like we do now. Won't it be great to enjoy food without eating too much? I often say that I love dark chocolate, and I imagine in heaven dark chocolate's going to be a health food. You're going to be able to eat it, and it's not going to have any fat grams, and it's not going to have calories, and there's a lot of other foods like that, I'm sure. But won't it be great to enjoy that without being gluttonous? I think we'll express affection, admiration, and love without lust or fornication or betrayal. Those bad desires just won't exist. Now, something like Buddhism teaches that one day all of our desires will be eliminated. Christianity teaches the exact opposite. It teaches that one day our desires will be redeemed. What we should do will at last be identical with what we want to do and what we will do. That's real deliverance. Okay, that's it. We'll see you next week.